The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jose Perez with PCMS Consulting. Thank you for joining us on Camp Reinvent today when we're going to talk about how you stay in touch after the sale. For those of you who have not been on these calls before, everybody's muted so that we can keep the noise down. And there's a place for you to raise your hand, or there's actually a box where you can type in your questions if you have any along the way, and I can interrupt our guest. So again, my name is Jose Perez. I have been a student of the industry for the past 25 years, and we are in a time of unprecedented change that is causing everybody to take a look at how they do their business differently. If you've been on any of the calls, you've seen us cover the first three parts of Internet marketing, which are driving traffic, engaging traffic, and responding to traffic online. The last piece that a lot of people don't pay that much attention to, in our opinion, is how you stay in touch with the consumer online after the sale. So we brought on today one of our partners, Rob Reich, who is the founder and president of Digital Closing Docs, and he is going to talk about how you stay in touch with the consumer after the sale. So Rob, why don't you talk to us about why this is such an important task that everybody needs to be thinking about?
Happy to do that, Jose. Thank you very much for that, those kind words and that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me just kind of scroll through. You should be able to see the PowerPoint now. Jose, if someone has a question or wants to make a comment, how should they do that?
They can just type it in. We're watching it, so I can interrupt you if it's appropriate. If not, we'll do questions at the end.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you with non-specific information to my company for the bulk of this conversation this afternoon. I do travel around the country speaking with title agencies and presenting to title agencies effective marketing concepts and effective marketing techniques and how to make the title agency more profitable. Now, what does that have to do with you on the phone here today with me? What we do to help title agents to be more successful is we do that by benefiting the realtor, the mortgage professional, and the consumer, in addition to the title agent. So this is what we do is a complete win-win-win situation. But before I get into, or before I at the very end introduce us as a company, let me talk to you for a few minutes. Let me just skip through here about the basic concept of my discussion today is just how to make more money. Just put a bottom line to it. To do that, you want to first of all understand what title agents have done in the past to market and what's effective and what's not effective. So in the bubble era, when you could just kind of do whatever, in fact a lot didn't market, the marketing would be this. They would go to a real estate agent's office, they would meet with the realtor or realtors if they could get in, and they would tell them why their company is better than anybody else's. And they all said the same thing: customer service, every single one of them. And then they give a number two reason to change if they needed it. And they all said pretty much the same thing: we close for you on Saturdays, or we will close for you late on a weekday. They were all pretty much saying the same thing. And of course, realtors and lenders wouldn't know how to make a decision because nobody would differentiate themselves. Excuse me.
Hey, Rob, somebody's having some audio issues, so you might want to slow down a little bit. It could be the lag on your microphone.
Okay. Is there an echo, or?
No, just somebody says that that you're fading in and out. So if anybody else has that issue, please type it in so that we can see if it's a technical problem. Otherwise, just slow down a little bit. Sometimes it's just the microphone on your computer. Go ahead, Rob. I think it may be this person's computer.
They all pretty much used that they thought would gain. Jose, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Jose, can you hear me?
Yes, we're all good.
Okay. So they would give the 2 reasons to change, and then they would deploy the secret weapon that they would all use, and that's this. They'd show up with the donuts. This is what title industry marketing for decades has been about. It's ineffective and inefficient, and they didn't think or feel like they had more to offer to them than 200 calories and 12 grams of fat. And that's certainly not the case. What our customers tell us now, title agents around the country, in terms of their marketing, post-bubble, is that they now spend 0 to 3 hours per week on marketing activities. They've pretty much thrown in the towel. They don't know how to increase capture rates within your real estate operation. They don't know how to go out and get more business from outside of your real estate operation, and therefore they pretty much have quit doing it. They have decreased or eliminated marketing staff, and they try to rely on closers and processors for marketing. Huge mistake to send somebody out to talk marketing who's not trained. Many owners don't do any selling themselves either, even though they may try to wear both hats. And we find that a lot of times that the owners or the executives of a title company just aren't comfortable doing selling on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis. They may do it here and there, but not consistently. And going along with the second bullet point, processors and closers just aren't comfortable doing it either. And if you're relying on processors, closers, owners to do the marketing, well, what happens as soon as they get busy? Sales and marketing comes to a standstill. The closers and processors especially are all too glad to go back to work doing what they are doing, what they get paid to do, processing and closing, than going out and doing marketing. So it's usually the first thing that stops it when they get a little bit busy. And especially today when they have reduced staff, they get a little bit busy with fewer people, it happens even quicker. We also tell the industry that it's important to know your customers. As we like to say, as we all like to say, it's not just our statement, but knowledge is power. So the National Association of Realtors has a member profile that it publishes every year. And in this profile, I recommend if you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of you have, but if you haven't seen it, I recommend you download it. It's free at NAR. And in there is information that will tell you how to be more successful and increase your profits. First, it's important to know that the typical realtor says that they work 40 hours a week in 2009, and that's been about what it has been. Now, I will say this is from a poll, so could it be that the realtors are not being forthcoming? Well, maybe. I tend to think that number would be a little bit less. The typical realtor earned 18% of their business from past clients and customers. We're going to talk a lot about that here in a minute. And realtors spent about $220 to maintain a website in 2009. 36%, more than 1 in 3, reported having generated some business from an open house. But that means that about 2/3 did not. Not exactly great numbers. It's also interesting to note that each one of these realtors, many of them have a secondary specialty that they earn income from: relocation, commercial brokerage, residential property management, counseling. I'm not sure what counseling is. I'm guessing that they're psychologists. Maybe you can represent somebody to go buy a home at the same time, let them sit on your couch and tell you their problems. Land development, residential brokerage, and you see all the different side specialties that they have. Frequency of use of communications and technology products. It's interesting to me that 94% of all realtors use email, and 91% use a laptop or a PC. What are the other 6% or 9% doing? That's a little bit troubling. I'm not sure why that's not 100% today. Cell phones, 71%. What are the other 29% doing in that scenario? So, And you can see digital camera, instant messaging, global positioning. You know what? Blogs, 5%. Really small. I think that's a missed area there. I think it's important to know in looking at these charts and kind of read between the lines with what you're seeing. Frequency of use of business software, multiple listings, 71%. Again, what are the other 29% doing? Contact management, only 30% use contact management. 70% do not. That's a troubling number. And then you see the other things there, customer relationship management, 17. Transaction management. A lot of title agents like to say to realtors, send us business because we have an online transaction management system that you can track your order all the way through and past closing. Well, 14% are using it, 86% are not. So it has not been a popular technology. 89% of all realtors say that their firm has a website. 8% does not. Really, 10% does not when you add those two together. So that, to me, is a troubling number. In this day and age, and I know Jose has talked to a lot of you about optimizing your website to be a money generator for you. 10% of all real estate agents don't have a website. What's on the realtor websites? Well, you can see these different things here: property listings, information about home buying and selling. I circled mortgage calculators and links to the firm's website because those were much smaller, much lower than what I thought that they would be. Those are free things to do. I'm not sure why you wouldn't do that in nearly 100% of the time. Links to real estate services providers down below and the mortgage lenders' websites aren't there either. And I think that they're missing the boat on that in terms of the relationships that they could be forming. What you don't see on this slide is the title company link. Here's an interesting stat. 74% of real estate agents are very certain that they will remain active as a real estate professional in the next 24 months. I think that's kind of good news. And the year before it was 73%. So that to me, those are good numbers. And you see the brokers are even better. And the not certain is only 8%. So I think that says what real estate agents are thinking about the industry. They're optimistic about it. They may be bullish, but obviously we don't know when this market is really going to get legs. Business generated from a realtor website, these numbers are also way off from what I think that they should be. In 2009, 37%, up only a point from 2008, generated business from their website. However, if you look at the, well, there's another number that, below, if you look at the amount spent, the numbers go up the more they spend on their website. So that $220 average that they spend doesn't really cut the mustard. It doesn't really generate any business for them. But when they start spending $1,000 or more a year, then that website tends to pay off. Excuse me, $500 more a year. Realtor confidence. I think it's important to know, for a title agency's perspective, from anybody's perspective, to know how people are feeling about the business that they're in. Interestingly enough, you see the green line there is January 2010. The red line is January 2011. In every case, the numbers are worse this year than they were last year. So we're getting some different stats here. One says, well, I'm going to stay in the business, but the other one says I'm not very confident right now. And then by region, you can see that the green, again, is a year ago, and the red is this past January. And you can look by your region to see, in every case, those numbers are down. The NAR had this survey, and they asked several thousand agents. Based on this month's activity, did you participate in a real estate purchase or sale? This was this past January. 60% said yes. 40% said no. 4 out of 10 realtors in the U.S. were unemployed in January. If you're not making a sale in my book each month, you're not in business. Expectations of home prices over the next year. 50% said that they thought that home prices would rise 0 to 5%. That number was smaller several years ago, where they thought that prices would decrease a little bit further. So we're starting to see some bullishness there. So where am I going with all of this? The purpose for this webinar is staying in touch after the sale, and it's just not something that happens. In fact, Jim Puglisi here says that the closing is really misnamed. It is really the opening of the relationship. But according to the National Association of Realtors, almost 90% of homeowners would do business with their real estate agent again, but only about 11% can remember who that person was. Those are terrible numbers. I don't think you need me to tell you. That's just about as bad as it gets. It goes on to show that 21% of all realtors don't get any repeat business. Also really bad. And as you can expect, when they're early on in their career, the numbers are worse. That kind of makes sense. And as they gain more experience, the numbers do get better. But still, 7% of the most senior agents in the U.S., those with 16 years or more experience, don't get any repeat business. I'm not sure how that's possible to be in business that long and not get some. What this is telling us is this: 1 in 5 realtors in the U.S., 1 in 5 of your agents, most likely, gets up on the first day of every month and starts their business from scratch. And they don't know what to do about it. It's terribly inefficient and ineffective, and they're leaving money on the table every month, but they don't know how to resolve it. In addition to the NAR surveys, when we were doing research for our technology over the years, we asked thousands of real estate agents the following 4 questions. 1, do you have a post-closing marketing system? Over 90% in these group settings said no. Those that did have a post-closing marketing system, we asked them, how long does your system last? The answer, about 90 days, but not longer than 6 months. Very finite. If you just do the math, if the average homeowner owns their home now, whatever it is, 7 or 8 years, they fall woefully short. In fact, my opinion is, why bother? You might get a referral, but maybe just one. So we asked a follow-up question in these meetings. We said, tell the truth. If you don't market yourself to your client post-closing for very long or at all, have you lost business because of it? And then nearly every hand in the room would go up in these meetings with story after story of how some agent had beat them to their past client when they came back on the market and they found out about it too late. Or they heard that some past client had moved once, twice, in some cases 3 times. And then they found out about it too late after the deal was already done. In fact, I had a broker agent stand up in a meeting that I was doing live one time not too long ago, and she said, I finally got religion, so to speak, on post-closing marketing, and I decided that I was going to do my own newsletter, email newsletter out to all of my past clients about, several times a year. Not a great way to do post-closing marketing, but beats doing nothing. And she said, I'm a big relationship person. I'm the one that says to all of my agents, relationship, relationship, relationship. Well, I was shocked and disappointed to find out how many people had moved when I started calling all of my past clients for their current email address. She says, I'm ashamed to tell you that it's a much bigger number than I ever thought it was. And none of these agents that in these meetings, none of them had an automated system that alerted them when their client came back on the market to buy, sell, or refi. So here's what I'm saying to you in closing, and I'd be happy to take questions. What we do for our customers every day is increase the order count and add new customers for the title agent. And we do that by resolving and solving the post-closing marketing and the repeat business issue for real estate agents all over the country. And there's nothing for them to buy in our system, and there's nothing for them to do except close with one of our title agent customers. And we have the real estate industry's really only technology that alerts, that predicts and alerts real estate professionals, predicts and alerts when consumers are coming back on the market to buy, sell, or refi. We do this through the title agent, and we alert the title agent, the real estate agent, and the mortgage professional. And that's a game changer. And we can definitely take a big bite out of that 21%, I think, going forward with those that don't get any, and there are many that only get a few deals during their career. We can definitely make that better. Jose, happy to take any questions.
There are definitely a couple of questions, and I think I want you to describe a little bit more, if you can, what you do. But before you do that, one of the questions is, you did all these surveys and talked to all these agents. Of the 10% that were doing post-close marketing, did you come to any conclusion as to what the most effective method was, what people were doing that were successful doing this?
Well, we did, but not in that we heard great ideas or about great systems when we were talking to them. It's a good question. We kind of learned what not to do and then created Digital Closing Docs with Forever Marketing. We heard story after story about post-closing emails. They would be happy anniversary on the purchase of your home emails, happy birthday emails. In one case, a Keller Williams office gave its agents door hangers to remind people to turn their clocks forward in the spring last March. Not really compelling stuff, and things that were really generic, not very targeted. I mean, happy anniversary in the purchase of your home obviously is somewhat targeted, but do you care about that message? So we designed a system called Forever Marketing that sends homeowners 6 very, very targeted emails a year, and it's called Forever Marketing because it lasts for as long as the homeowner owns their home. What we were seeing with agents when we were talking to them directly is they would do these postcards or these emails for 6 months. Occasionally we'd hear longer, and then they would quit. Well, this system is automatic and guarantees them to last for as long as that person is in that house. Information on their home, real estate activity in their area, updates on their mortgage, and other things that we do that are proprietary that have never, as far as I've ever seen, have never been done in the real estate industry, at least not in volume. And we're doing it now all over the country.
And one point that I'd like to make, and for anybody who's been on these calls for the past few weeks, I've talked about, the way that you engage consumers online is by providing relevant information. And so, to Rob's point, sending happy birthday on the purchase of your home, I mean, how is that really helping them with anything? And so I think it's important to note that if you have engaged the consumer from the beginning, let's say 6 months ago when you first reached that person because they read one of your blogs or because they went on your website and looked for information, and then you engaged them on your website and you got back to them and they bought a house from you, okay, the problem is, as Rob's been describing here, most agents and most real estate companies drop the ball after that, knowing that 90% of consumers would use you again. And so if we're going to understand the internet consumer of today that has these high expectations, they want relevant information about their neighborhood, about their house, about anything that's going to help them make a real estate decision. And that's why this is so important. So we're not just attacking it in the sense that Rob, again, and if anybody's interested in seeing a demo of Rob's product, certainly just email me and we can set that up because it is a pretty neat and very, very innovative program. But basically what you're doing is you're maintaining contact with, which is a big win, but you're also continuing to engage that person so they're saying good things about your company in the future, and it's also a great retention tool because if you're the one that has this kind of system, and nobody else has it in your market. It helps you recruit more agents, helps you retain your agents. So there's a lot of implications to what you do with your post-close marketing and why we feel it's such an important topic. Let's see. Okay, there's a couple of other questions here. How is this free to the broker? Rob?
Great question. Okay, so let me give you our revenue model. You know, it's cliche these days for a company to say we partner with our customers. I hear that as a business owner. I hear that all the time, and it ends up being not true almost in every case. Well, we do say it, and we do mean it, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you. In fact, we go so far as to say that we don't make any money unless the title agency does. There is no direct cost to the real estate agent, the lender, or the title agent for what we do. We simply charge the homeowner for our services at closing. There's what I haven't told you is what goes along with the digital closing docs side of what we do. What goes along with our offering is we have the real estate industry's only automatically updating CD that is provided to the homeowner at closing. So the title agent hands it to the client at closing, and that CD will update to the recorded docs and the owner's policy and any other post-closing docs that are created later, after closing, post-closing, and we simply charge them for their CD-ROM at closing. It's a nominal cost of just $29.95, and they usually just listen in the 1100 section.
Now, Rob, I mean, some people, and again, I have another question here from somebody saying, how is this any different than, you know, me scanning documents onto a CD?
Yeah, okay, good question. First of all, there is no scanning, no burning of a CD by our title agent customers in our technology. The CDs come to their office ready to go. Secondly, when you burn a CD, it's a static CD. In other words, you cannot append to it in the future. The homeowner leaves with it, it's gone, there's nothing you can do. Not true with the digital closing doc CD. The homeowner leaves closing, and we can continue to update tomorrow, next month, next year, whenever we'd like. And the digital closing doc system emails a homeowner automatically anytime post-closing documents are added for their benefit. So the homeowner always knows what and when new documents are available immediately.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that we have. Rob, thank you so much for your insight into post-close marketing. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Our next and final Camp Reinvent session for the first quarter this year is 2 weeks from now, and the topic will be how to recruit the agent of the future. So I hope that you will come back and join us. This recording will be online in a couple of days on our website, so feel free to visit there. And if anybody needs any additional information, again, you can email me at jperez@pcmsconsulting.com, or just go to our website and you can find ways to get a hold of us there. Thanks again, everybody.